My baby's still missing, and we have an update on Spider-Man's role in the MCU. Welcome to the newest episode of SDW.
Super Dario World!
It's a me,
Dario!
Woohoo! Let's go!
All right, so let me get this very quickly out of the way. You can listen to the podcast in the iHeartRadio app. Just type in the show presents Super Dario World. You'll find it right there, or you can find it on iTunes, SoundCloud, and YouTube as Super Dario World Podcast. You can also contact me anytime on Instagram at Dario the Show. It's just wait for you to send me any comments, questions, or suggestions is right there. And okay, I think that's it. That's all the important stuff. An update on how the hunt is going. Not great. Not great. It's not looking good. I set up a whole bunch of traps yesterday in my garage for those. Oh, I need to say this. One of my lizards, I own two lizards and I have in my garage. Well, one's a lizard, one's a snake. And the lizard is a baby now monitor, and the monitor has escaped. And so I need to try and find him. I really want to find him. I'm hoping that he's still hiding somewhere in the garage. So I set up a whole bunch of traps in the garage, but so far, nothing. And so I also set up a whole bunch of traps outside. I'm hoping that one of those will hit. But if he's outside, I don't think he's going to make it. He's not going to make it. I talked about this on the show earlier today. There's a murder of crows that lives nearby, and I saw them flying around. So crows are deadly, man. However, I'm starting to think that he might be able to survive. I followed the trail of dirt out of his cage. He left a trail of dirt, son of a bitch. It didn't point to the outside, which was weird. But he could have just shaken off all the dirt before he got out. Anyway, I don't even know what I'm saying anymore. So I followed the trail. And the path that he took to get out is weird. The cage that he's in, it requires a certain amount of strength to be able to open it. So not only did he have to get up high enough, at the point where he would have got it, because there's like a branch there, but the height for him to reach it, it would have required way more strength than I would have thought. Like I showed somebody yesterday, like, all right, open this. It's like, okay, well, she opens it up. And it's like, you see, it was hard, right? I'm like, yeah. And he opened that probably only his neck, like with his nose and like slid it open. It's not an easy, because it doesn't have wheels. And so apparently, and then he had to jump off. He climbed up on a table and he had to get off somehow. So apparently he's way stronger than I gave him credit for. It's weird, because to me, he's a baby. I see him as a baby. He's tiny. He's teeny tiny for me. He's about in length, the length of a forearm with his tail. Tail's half his body. And so yesterday I was talking to a neighbor. I told him, hey, by the way, my lizard got away. So if you see one, it's probably, and he's like, oh, which one? Like, oh, the little one that I hang out. He's like, the big one that hangs out around your shoulders. Like, yeah, he's still a little one. No, that's a big lizard. And so I guess to me, he's small, because to me, he's still a baby. But apparently he's bigger and stronger than I thought. And so if he got away, he might be able to survive. And there's crickets around, so then I'm guessing other roaches and worms and stuff that he could eat. So he will not go hungry. So the odds of him surviving out there, the only thing are the crows. Or, well, the day that he got out, it was raining. And so he probably went towards water. And if he got dragged by the current, he went into the sewer. So that's also like, oh yeah, I'm never going to find him if he's in the sewers ever. And if he survives there, because there's rats there, I don't know. The point is, it's not looking good. If he's anywhere outside the garage, it's not looking good. But I'm still looking. I'm going to go check my traps today. Maybe I'll set up some more. I don't know. It's not looking good. Point is, not in the mood to do this today. Also, we didn't have a podcast today. The P1 podcast, we didn't record it today. We were having technical difficulties in studio, and so Eddie just called it. So I don't really have to be here to wait for the video to load. But I wanted to riff a little bit. The NFL game yesterday sucked. It was really, really bad. And I don't mind a good defensive game. I love defense. When I played football in high school, I was a defensive player. I love defense. I think defense is way more fun. If you're playing it. But both offenses just look terrible. Terrible. It's a horrible, horrible way to start the season. Horrible. But hopefully it'll turn around. I'm looking into the bets that I'm going to do this weekend. I was actually looking into that right now. There's a few games that I'm like, all right, that's almost like a sure thing. I'm still not sure about the point spread, but if you want, like, for sure, straight up that they're going to win, I went with the Chargers, Ravens. Who else? I think the Lions are going to take it. The Lions have a really tough schedule ahead, so if they need to start, they have, like, a 7-game streak that just sucks. It's horrible. Like, they're going up against their entire division is a nightmare, plus they go against the Chargers, so they're going to hope about 6 weeks of hell. So they need to start off with a win. So I'd pick those, like those three. I think that for my family thing, I picked other different teams because I didn't want to risk the Lions. But anyway, that doesn't really matter. And I'll also put the Eagles over the Redskins because the Redskins don't really have anything around. They don't have a starting QB, or at least not a good one. But anyway, that's it for the NFL right now. It was only one day, and I wasn't really in the mood to watch it. I wasn't in the mood to do anything, but it was on, and I needed to distract myself, so it was like, all right, fine, I'll watch. I didn't even want to play video games. I was just like, I'll sit here and I'll suffer through this, and every commercial I'll go check. Well, every few commercials I'll go check my trap, because you can't do it that frequently, because then, you're going to give it up that you're trying to trap him. Anyway, what was I even talking about? Oh, yeah, so we got big Spider-Man. There's also a whole bunch of trailers that were released right now. The new season for It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia looks hysterical. I love that show. Season 14. And that show is just not stopping. It's great. They don't give a fuck. And it's awesome. I also saw that The Mandalorian, supposedly, the TV show for Disney Plus, will explain how the First Order came to be, which to me is kind of bullshit. It's like you should have explained the First Order before you started the movies, right? Or you should have put it in the movies. That would have been, that's usually how you do things. I also saw the new trailer for Bad Boys for Life. Dude, Martin Lawrence should... he's looking a little rough. Will Smith is still Will Smith, so I'm excited for that part. But yeah, Martin Lawrence, dude, he's looking a little rough there. I'm not sure about that one. I think it should be okay. I don't know if it's going to be better than the other ones, but it should be at least mediocre, which is fine. For an action movie, an action comedy should be fine. Saw the trailer for the new Jack Ryan season, which looks great. Amazon I'm telling you, they're doing high quality stuff. High quality stuff. You should check out the first season. It's really good. Also, to continue proving my point that Rotten Tomatoes is garbage, you should actually check out ReviewNation.net, which is the website that I write for. But I've been complaining about Rotten Tomatoes for years before I actually started writing for them. I haven't done anything this week, by the way. I saw one show, but I haven't written anything because I got busy trying to find my monitor. That I figured that was more important. But yeah, continuing on that, Dave Chappelle's new special, Sticks and Stones, which I raved about earlier this week, because it's fucking hysterical, and Dave Chappelle does not give a fuck about anything, and that's the best part of it. Dave Chappelle's new special had a 0% on Rotten Tomatoes for a minute. Yeah, that's what Rotten Tomatoes is. 0% on Rotten Tomatoes. One of the best, boldest comedy specials I've ever seen got a 0%. So congratulations, Rotten Tomatoes. You just keep proving my point. By the way, eventually they opened up to audiences, and then it got up to 99% because it's still proving that critics are idiots and they don't know what they're talking about. They're judging. They're not judging the product that they're seeing in a vacuum. They're trying to judge it in context to the world, which is stupid. You should judge the thing by itself. All right, just the thing. I'm not gonna get into it. Let me just get one more thing out of the way before the quote unquote big news of the day. So I saw the new trailer for Disenchantment, or season 2 of Disenchantment. That's a Netflix series created by it's a cartoon by the creators of the Simpsons. It's explicit. It's funny. It's all right. The show's okay. But anyway, moving on to the big thing. Right, the big thing. One of the chiefs over at Sony made the statement that for talking about Spider-Man and his role in the MCU, basically saying that Spider-Man right now the door is closed for Spider-Man to re-enter the MCU. And I'll just read the whole quote. It's kind of a long one, but I'll just read the whole thing. For the moment, the door is closed. However, it's a long life, and we had a great run with Kevin Feige on the Spider-Man movies. We tried to see if there's a way to work it out. The Marvel people are terrific people. We have a great respect for them. But on the other hand, we have some pretty terrific people on our own. Kevin didn't do all the work. Spider-Man was fine before the event movies. It did better with the event movies. And now that we have our own universe, we will play off of the other characters as well. I think we're pretty capable of doing what we have to do here. All right, so there's a lot of things there. First off, okay, I said this before because I did talk about the Spider-Man controversy before about Spider-Man leaving the MCU and everything. I still think this is kind of a power play for Sony, but because I do think they have the upper hand here, because the MCU needs Spider-Man way more than Spider-Man needs the MCU. In fact, if you saw Far From Home, it's kind of implied that the MCU is not really that big of a part of it anymore, right? I mean, I don't know if I should say this. Well, the part of the plot of the movie, I'm not going to do any spoilers, but part of the plot of the movie is that they're trying to figure out who's going to be the next guy, right? Who's going to be the next Tony Stark? Because, well, I guess I already spoiled it, but in Endgame, I mean, if you haven't seen it by now, I'm sorry, but you're screwed. But Tony Stark dies in Endgame, and so they're trying to figure out who's going to be like the next guy, and Spider-Man looks like he's going to be the option. And there's an attack, and nobody knows who the hell is going to save them because it's an Avengers level threat, but there's no Avengers anymore, right? That's pretty much it. So it's up to Spider-Man to step up and be the guy, whatever. Point is, in the movie, nobody really makes an appearance outside of the Spider-Man universe. I'm sorry, from the MCU, other than freaking Nick Fury, well, and Maria Hill, I guess. But they're not really relevant for the future of Spider-Man. They just could keep going in a separate direction, do his own thing. I don't see characters from the MCU being relevant. Spider-Man still has a lot of characters he can play with in his own Spider-Man universe. You got Kraven, you got Venom now, which even though the first Venom movie was terrible, he's got a whole bunch of villains. So he doesn't need them that much. He doesn't need the MCU. He doesn't need to be a part of all that. He could, and he makes it better, but they don't. However, on the other hand, it's going to be very difficult for the characters in the MCU to pretend that Spider-Man doesn't exist anymore. Or like, imagine there's a threat somewhere, and they're like, "Oh, we should call Spider-Man." Oh no, he has a test. What? That's gonna be ridiculous. They're gonna completely have to pretend that, oh yeah, all these things that we saw already didn't happen. You know, they know that guy Spider-Man who's really cool, really powerful, and who was kind of like Tony Stark's guy, his protege in a way. Yeah, he was never a thing. No, let's just forget about it. And also, the big hit that the MCU is taking is that they're losing Iron Man, they're losing Captain America, supposedly Black Widow soon, and Spider-Man. Yeesh, that's a hard pill to swallow. So I think this is still a power play for Sony. They're saying, we don't need you. Fuck you guys. Like I've mentioned this before. The Spider-Man movies were at least financially very successful before they entered the MCU. And they were very, very successful. They weren't as MCU level successful, but they were still very, very successful, pretty much. And Into the Spider-Verse, which is the least financially successful Spider-Man movie, is probably the best Spider-Man movie out there. For those who haven't seen it, I highly recommend it. It's a phenomenal film. Highly recommend it. Very enjoyable, very different. Loved it. Anyway, so they can play around with the Spider-Verse. They can play around with the whole multiverse. They can do a whole bunch of stuff. So, honestly, I think this is just relax, the whole thing. I mean, it's in the very statement right there. For the moment, the door's closed, but it's a long life. They're saying, yeah, well, we aren't going to try anymore. You need us more than we need you. So, if you want, maybe we'll be on the table or not. So you better take it down a peg. Also, the whole part of the Marvel people are terrific people. We have great respect for them. But on the other hand, we have some pretty terrific people on our own. Kevin didn't do all the work. It sounds like it was all ego. Like everything is all ego on Kevin Feige. So this is not only a power play from them, they're also throwing shade at Kevin Feige and Disney. It's like, honestly, it's, to me, I still adamantly think that Spider-Man will be a part of the universe. A deal will be reached soon, but Sony is definitely doing the right thing here. They need to start moving on from Spider-Man. I'm sorry, from the MCU. Sony needs to worry on developing their own Spider-Verse and just continue on that path, because they don't need Disney. They don't need them. Disney made the mistake of making Spider-Man way, way bigger, the franchise way, way bigger, and kind of showing Sony what they should do in order to make Spider-Man better, kind of what the people want. And so, yeah, honestly, it sucks because the MCU Spider-Man movies were really good, but they don't need them. They should just continue what they're doing, and if this is the hand that they want to play, if they're bluffing, don't bluff. Actually go in that direction. Actually try to do your own thing, because you don't need Disney as much as Disney needs you right now. The MCU will be in fucking shambles without Spider-Man. That's an exaggeration. Not fucking shambles. But it'll be a mess without Spider-Man, without Iron Man, without Captain America. There's nothing binding the Avengers together, really. Nothing. I mean, maybe they're going to start my theory is that they're going to start moving into the Guardians of the Galaxy direction, and that's going to be like the new Avengers team. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if Phase 2 is the next saga is all about the Guardians of the Galaxy and how they're the new Avengers. That's the only real way I can figure this working out. If I have to make a guess, let me think about this for a second. So if I'm Disney, the only way I could kind of pretend that Spider-Man's not there is that if I tried to make the next saga, Guardians of the Galaxy, something that has to do with Adam Warlock, and so they left Earth, and since Peter Parker's still a teenager, he couldn't leave Earth. Or they didn't want to take him with them because the last time he left Earth, he got snapped. That's the only way that I could finally kind of see it as an excuse. Still, it's a stretch. It's a big stretch, and I've mentioned this many times before. Spider-Man is the crown jewel of the Marvel Universe. He's probably the most beloved character. He might not be everybody's favorite character, but he is the most beloved character in the Marvel Universe. He fits in with everybody. I've never heard anybody say, "Oh man, I fucking hate Spider-Man." Ever. Everybody, well, at least that I've met in my life, I don't want to say everybody, but pretty much everybody that I've ever met loves Spider-Man. They can relate to him in a way because the genius of Spider-Man, and I mentioned this before on another podcast, the genius of Spider-Man is that he's a geek who gets superpowers. The people who read comic books are geeks, okay? They're usually nerdy kids, especially back in the day when Spider-Man was created. So usually if you like superhero stuff, you're kind of nerdy. And so it's everybody's dream of being like the nerdy kid who all of a sudden wakes up with powers one day. It's pretty much what all fucking anime is based off of. Well, I'm exaggerating. That's not true. But there's a lot of them. Anyway, so that's the thing. That's why he's so relatable. He's still down to earth. He's got like a heart of gold. So, yeah, Disney's going to blink. If I'm making a prediction, Disney's going to blink eventually. I don't think Sony should. I think Sony should stick to their guns and just actively start pursuing just the Spider-Verse to force Disney back into the table. And actually, you know what? I think they should just ignore the table completely, which is what it sounds like they're doing. Disney will eventually blink because they'll realize that, oh shit, our universe is kind of messed up and we kind of fucked ourselves and we put ourselves in a really uncomfortable situation right now because we were kind of making him the guy and centering everything around Spider-Man. And I don't care what anybody says. The only reason why people like Civil War is because Spider-Man's in it. Civil War's a terrible movie, and I can break it down one day if you want. But if they don't, if still Kevin Feige's pride is too much, the ego is too much, then I think everything is going to, for the next saga, is going to be leaving Earth, and it's going to be about the Guardians of the Galaxy taking on the role of the Avengers, I think, if I have to guess. If I have to make a guess. So, that's it for today. That was my guess. That's it for this week. I got to go home and see if my traps work. If not, I have to set up a few more. I'm kind of down today. I don't know. I'm just going to go home and play Red Dead Redemption or something. I need to shoot stuff. That'll make me feel better. Hopefully. Anyway, that's it for today. Any comments, questions, or suggestions, you can always find me at Dario the Show on Instagram. As always, thank you for listening, and I'll see you again on Monday.